Hey guys, Josh here. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update before the video starts on what I plan to do with the whole upload schedule since I just got out of my first year of college. I will probably try uploading 2 videos every week if I can. If not every week, 1 video every week if I potentially can. I want to try to get like a somewhat good schedule going on here. So it'll probably either a Creepypasta video 1 week and a gaming video 1 week, or a discussion video because I really want to do discussion videos because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. But aside from that, I'll keep you guys updated on it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the video. Bye! The Russian sleep experiment. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them, since it was toxic in high concentrations. This was before closed-circuit cameras, so they only had microphones in 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows in the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on but no bedding, running water, and a toilet, and enough dry food to last all 5 for over a month. Test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained about having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they would continue to talk about increasingly traumatic incidents in their past. And the general tone of their conversations took on a darker aspect after the day 4 mark. After 5 days, they started complaining about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were. They started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternatively whispering to the microphones in one-way mirror portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think they could win over the trust of the researchers by turning over their comrades. The other subject in captivity was with them. At first, the researchers suspected that this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued to attempt to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researcher speculated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. But the most surprising thing about this behavior is the other subject's reaction, or rather, lack thereof. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming subjects took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own filth, and pasted them calmly over the glass windows. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering to the microphones. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure that they were working, since they thought it was impossible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something that they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom beside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives that they were afraid were either dead or vegetables. We are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom. To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voice respond. We no longer want to be free. Debate broke out amongst the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed with the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the lives of their loved ones, to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened, and soldiers were sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state that any of them were in alive. The food rations past day 5 had not even been touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects' thighs and chest stuffed in the drain at the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects had also large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth, as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most, if not all, were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs below the rib cage of all 4 test subjects had been removed, while the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place. The skin, most of the muscles attached to the ribs, had been ripped off, exposing the lungs to the rib cage. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh that they had ripped off and had eaten over the course of days. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but still many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream, to be left in the chamber, and alternately begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep. To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers had died having his throat ripped out. Another was gravely injured by having a subject attack his groin, and an artery in his leg severely ripped by one of the subject's teeth. Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives, to count the ones that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured, and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved to be impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of a morphine derivative, and still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the ribs and arms of one doctor. When his heart was seen to be beating for a full 2 minutes after he bled out, to the point that there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after he had stopped, he continued to scream and flail around for 3 more minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach, and just repeated the word "more" over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility, the 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the 3 was taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative that they had given him to prepare him for the surgery. He had fought furiously against the restraint with the anesthetic gas was brought to put him under. He managed to tear away most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on one wrist, even though the weight of a 200-pound soldier holding that wrist as well. It only took a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had tripled the normal level of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had 9 broken bones in his struggle to not be subdued. Most of them were from the force his own muscles had exerted on him. The second survivor had been the first of a group of 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to the surgery, and he had only reacted by shaking his head violently in approval and disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested reluctantly that they try the surgery without anesthetic, and did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding stately repeated that it should be medically impossible for the patient to be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that he has seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming that this must be of some drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting. The other 2 test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well, although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were once again asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they had wanted to be given the gas again. Only one response was given. I must stay awake. All 3 subject restraints were reinforced, and they were placed back in the chamber, awaiting a determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of their military benefactors, or having failed the stated goals of their project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but were inevitably overruled. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all 3 stopped struggling the moment it let slip that they were going back on the gas. It was obvious at this point all 3 were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly, continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might, first left, then right, then left again for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brainwaves in surprise. They were normal for most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It seemed as if he was repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal. As they focused on papers scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut at the same moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of dead sleep, and then flatlined for the last time, as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed the same flat lines as the same one who died falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as the 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. He pointed his gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. I won't be locked in here with these things! Not with you! He screamed at the man strapped to the table. What are you? I must know. The subject smiled. Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all. begging to be free at every moment. In your deepest animal mind, we are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go into the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread. The researcher paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out. So nearly